Hello, investors. This is Zhang, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, November 15th, 5:20 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. The state of the market, we are still in uptrend. Market leaders, we still have acting healthy with the green up arrow. Short term, we closed marginally below the 21 EMA, but only a couple points, so a rounding error. So we currently still are giving the markets the benefit of the doubt with the green up arrow. The Qs, though, sliced below the 21 EMA, so we have that with the yellow sub arrow. Medium term, we're above the 50-day, so up arrow. And long term, we still have the up arrow above the 200-day moving averages. Therefore, with the four covered green arrows, we are still in grow mode. So what happened today? Further weakness after a hawkish Powell yesterday, and Bitcoin so far is completely decoupling from equities, and we'll definitely highlight that in this video. 21 over 21 list, down 0.19%, 8 up, 2 sideways, 11 down. So you can see there's definitely mixed action in the leaders. But we'll go over the down names, and we'll probably find that not many are breaking their 21 EMAs. Big 8, down 1.99%. They're responsible for dragging down the S&P and the NASDAQ. RG8 down 1.39%, S&P down 1.32%, equal weighted S&P RSP down 0.72%, QQQ down 2.4%, QQEW down 2.47%, Dow Jones down 0.72%, mid caps down 1.07%, small caps down 1.45%, global 60/40 equities bonds down 0.53%, and GROTECTION was down about 1.47%. So jumping right into the S&P 500, let's go to a daily chart. To refresh last week's action, Trump won the election. So on November 6th, we gapped up into all-time highs on massive volume. We then drifted higher, found resistance at 6,000, could only close one day above 6,000, which was on 11/11, closed at 6,001, and we were unable to close above 6,000 any other day. And now, with the hawkish Powell, we closed weak yesterday, gapped out today, and had a trend down day. And on the 5-minute chart, you can see we had a weak close yesterday, gapped down, and essentially could not rally any time of the day. We just trended down all day. Going to the RSP, same thing. Broke the 8 EMA yesterday. Now we closed right at the 8 EMA today, back into this shelf range. So we'll have to see us find some support here and get back and reclaim that 182.22 level. Weekly chart is still healthy, just a reversal this week. Perhaps just digesting post-election market spirits or market animals or animal spirits. And we'll have to see where we resolve next week. We did have OPEX today, so volatility was definitely expected as well. NASDAQ, weaker than the S&P. Huge distribution day today. I'll actually go to the NASDAQ composite to get a better view since the Qs are the NASDAQ 100. We did fail back. We did actually, the Qs fell back into the base, but the NASDAQ still closed above the left side peak. So that is definitely a good sign, but we did close below the 21 EMA. On the Qs though, we closed below the left side peak. And so that is failed breakout currently below 500 as well. So we definitely need to reclaim the 21 EMA and 500 level. The equal weighted Qs also fell back into the range down at the 50-day moving average. So this is definitely an area of potential support. 200 days not far below either. Dow Jones still trading above that shelf highs and well above the post-election gap day low and above the 21 EMA. So the Dow Jones is showing RS or relative strength as this line indicates right here. Mid caps also pulled back to the 21 EMA, still above 3,200, which is nice. Still above that shelf breakout high as well. So we definitely are looking to see if the mid caps can find some support at this level. Small caps Same thing, still above 2,300. That's a huge whole number. Still above gap days lows as well, which is at 2,398 cents. So expectation is small caps should find, or the Russell should find support right here at gap days lows, coinciding with the 21 EMA as well. And you can see that's a big, big level drawn across. If we can hold that, then there's better hope that this index resolves to the upside. VIX, after we talked about the VIX breaking 15 in the 200-day, we're back up above 15, actually above 16 now. We spiked to highs of over 17, and we retreated later on in the day. Dollar was actually red today, or actually no, it was up today, but closed mid-range. Dollar continues to strong as uh, as the long rates head higher, pricing in higher growth and potentially even higher inflation. In theory, in academic theory, Trump does have some inflationary and expansionary policies, and that is kind of what the market is digesting in right now. Gold continues to be weak, gap down on 11.11 and just continues to drift lower. A lot of distribution here as the dollar stays strong. The big question I'm bringing up is Bitcoin the new gold at this point? It is too early to say, but it seems like even on a huge down day like today, Bitcoin trading higher, that's definitely a good thing. I'll definitely talk about that more in detail. GDX, huge failed breakout and all the way back to the 200-day. As you can see, with social media and the velocity information, markets are faster, so fast nowadays that you really have to be ready to cut down risk, cut down exposure, and really work around your position. You can go from the penthouse up here, which was new, 52-week highs, all the way to the outhouse, back down to the 200-day and 40-week moving averages. Silver, similar action, failed breakout, and back below the 50-day. 8 and 21 are about to have bearish crosses below the 50-day as well. And actually, the 8 is already below. So IBIT is the Bitcoin ETF that we own. Just extraordinary breakout from the 8-month range. Perfect breakout action. But I'm going to turn over to TradingView because I like TradingView because it gives a full picture of the spot Bitcoin chart. And let's just go over a multiple time frame analysis again, which I've done numerous times on previous podcasts and daily videos. But why not do it again now after one of the greatest breakouts I've ever seen, up there with things like Nvidia and SMCI earlier this year. So going over to the quarterly chart, just look at this grand cup with handle built over the last 4 years. We had a shakeout quarter. This quarter started off as an inside quarter, but took out last quarter's highs of 70,000 and we broke out quickly into all-time highs. Go on to monthly, you can see this cup with handle in more detail, and it's really just beautiful. Clean linear trends, not a lot of chop, clean linear uptrend on the right side. Nice drifting downward handle, well below average volume compared to the volume on the upside. Multiple months of shakeouts below the 10-month moving average and reclaimed back into the range, and now we broke out with strength and force. The weekly, second week of the breakout, the volume actually expanding this week, currently trading at 160,000 Bitcoin, up from about 133,000 last week. So this is absolutely flawless breakout action so far. If we go on the daily, you can see on the election, we broke out on huge volume of 45,000 Bitcoin traded, closed at an all-time high. Had 3 tight days of drifting upwards, below average volume, which meant no sellers. And then we expanded 2 more days and finally found a little bit of exhaustion around this 95,000 level. But the key is we're starting to flag, and it's so strong that we are flagging above the 5 EMA here. Every day has been supported by the 5 EMA. The 10 EMA started to catch up to this 84,000 level. Just beautiful action from Bitcoin. Relative strength new highs as well before price. So we'll see what happens with that. And later I'll talk about the equity proxies like MSTR, which we are in, IBIT, and Coin, which we are stalking closely. And then let's go to bonds real quick. The short end of the curve continues to stay suppressed, finding some stabilization around this 4.3% area. But the 10-year, the long end of the curve continues to trickle higher. That means the bonds are selling off. Um, we know that Druckenmiller shorted bonds on the day the Fed cut 50 basis points, citing that he believes inflation. He believes that the inflation fight may not be over yet, with gold, Bitcoin, equities, housing market at all-time highs. Not really seeing weakness in businesses or the economy. Labor market, unemployment still at a healthy level. And now we have Trump with more expansionary fiscal policy, with less taxes, and more anti-immigration, which is theoretically inflationary, and same with tariffs. So that is his bet, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. So far, it's working quite well. Now, continue on. I just want to add an extra piece that we don't really talk about. I talk about this on the podcast, the Ethereum. I want to talk about it again here. And once again, I'll go to the 3-month chart. Really nice cup with handle being built, downward drifting handle above the 10-month quarterly average. Then we go to the monthly chart. These monthly moving averages still need some room to see a more positive slope, to increase the rate of acceleration of this asset. As you can see, the big move made in the previous cycle, MAs were aligned, and we're going up at a 45-degree angle, and that's what I want to see happen. And we just need some more months sideways. Weekly, MAs are still entangled, not aligned at all. We actually have the opposite alignment with the 40 above the 30, above the 20, above the 10. We want to see the exact opposite of that. We found some resistance around this 3,500 level. Continue to chop sideways. These MAs may get aligned. Perhaps we then rise through that level, get to 4,000, continue to chop a bit more, and then maybe in months down the future, we'll have those MAs aligned, and we can take out that 4,000 level and try for all-time highs. On the daily, MAs are all over the place. 200 days still flat. The 150 days still below the 200 day. And it's all over the place right now. So Ethereum definitely needs some room to go sideways and build out the rest of the space in this right side. And then I want to talk about Solana. You can't really play this in equity markets. I think there might be an ETF, but it might be on the OTC exchange. So we're unable to play that. But this to me looks extremely similar to MSTR as it rode up the right side quickly, and now it's building a high handle, little flag above the base over 210. And if those who play crypto, you can use Coinbase is probably the most safe and easily accessible exchange. Over 222, 225 is a buy, or you can accumulate against this 200 to 210 level with a stop just under 200. And yeah, I'll show MSTR real quick here, and we'll go over that later as well. This was the look before MSTR broke out. Ripped up the right side, found some resistance at highs, and pulled back in the base, kind of like what Solana did, and then broke out and never returned. So as you can see, broke out the new highs, pulled back into the base, and now just building a flag right there. And even talking about MSTR, we accelerated and staying extremely tight above those previous all-time highs from .com. So this could be another shorter continuation setup as well, even though it's a bit extended. So that's it from crypto. We'll go over to the tail of the tape now, and then we'll review some charts of interest and then finish off with the 21 over 21 list. Tail of the tape, VIX spiked up again, like I said, to 16, up 12%. Fear and greed came down to 51, minus 10. And this should be neutral, not greed. I just messed up and didn't change that. So we're in neutral territory now, which is nice to see some sentiment being shaved off a bit. We'll see what happens with the AAII and NAM numbers after this recent pullback next Thursday. But right now we are elevated as of this Thursday. We're still operating on the bull case. We're still considering ourselves to be at and or above the 21, even though we closed 2 points below. It's very marginal. And since the primary uptrend is up, we're giving it the benefit of the doubt. Today in news, we had manufacturing index and it came in much stronger than expected. And that definitely put a little pressure on the markets too, because with a stronger economy, Powell has more of a reason to not cut rates, and lower rates are always better for equities. Today's keys, S&P versus 5950, which held, Qs versus 510, which didn't hold. As we know, we closed below 500. Day count, 4 days of consolidation to the first day down, 1 day below the 8 EMA, for 21 EMA, I just said we're pretty much flat and right there. Expectations are still positive since market leaders are still acting well. There's still many powerful and tight charts. Bitcoin still acting well. Coinbase, MSTR, the fintech sector is acting well, which we'll talk about too. And actually today, we gapped down and trended down pretty much all day. Strong sectors today, bond yields were up, Bitcoin, uranium, utilities, financials, real estate, bond prices down as a result of rising yields. Dollar was down, slightly down. Tech was down. Semis took a huge hit, and biotech. Now, actually, I'll talk about those two sectors too, and in a little bit. So today in GROTECTION, in the main portfolio, we bought ERX, got some energy exposure, and sold Cohere, QQQ, and then trimmed Dell. So our beta ended up being 1.33. The bottom line, further weakness after hawkish Powell and Bitcoin decoupling. So now we'll go to some charts of interest that I've picked out. Let me just add a couple so I don't forget. Toast and Square. And then also I wanted to add SOX and XBI. So let's start with ERX, which was our buy. It poked its head out, and this is the 2x of XLE. We poked our head above 95, go on a weekly chart, coming on a huge base, and Trump is pro-energy. And if it is inflationary, energy will do well in a hot economy. And we will see what happens there. It reversed so far, but we only took a starter, so nothing to worry about yet. Coherent is something we sold below the AN21. Just hit our stop. This is not what we want to see when we buy a pullback near the flag at the EMA and it completely leaks off. This is not done though. This is holding lows the base so far in the 50-day. This could just continue to chop sideways and just build a sideways base like it needs. It made a big move out of this 80 area. We just build a base on top. This is not done whatsoever. As you can see, the earnings are accelerating. We had 49% year over year last quarter, 363% this quarter. Margins are accelerating as well, so that's a great sign. Dell is another one we sold. Came back to our cost and put us under pressure, and we just needed to reduce some exposure, especially with what the indexes were doing. So we also sold the Qs. Forgot to put that in here, and that is for obvious reasons. Came back into the base below 500, below the AN21, so we got out of that in huge distribution day. IBIT was a standout on the day. We own this, closed highs of the day when NASDAQ was down 2.5, 2.4%. Usually Bitcoin has correlated greatly with tech. And I do believe today might be a significant day for Bitcoin, especially this last week with equities pulling back and Bitcoin floating higher. It's almost like it's maybe starting to trade like its own asset class. And we'll put a question mark on there and continue to monitor its correlation to equities. But it'd be really nice if Bitcoin did create its own asset class and trade it by itself. Maybe that's starting to happen. MSTR, we own a small piece as well because the Bitcoin, this also closed near highs of the day. Even after this big move up and this nasty reversal, we have stayed extremely tight, building a flag here. The angle of ascent starting to accelerate, but it still looks great. On the 60-minute, you can see this range over 350. That's where it's finding some resistance. And if we continue to build under that, over 350 could present a quick swing trade. AEMA is catching up as well to support this stock. Look at the RS line. Just magnificent. Coinbase, another Bitcoin proxy. This 283 level is key. Same with this 272 level. On that Bitcoin reversal, we pulled back in. Yesterday found support 272, and today we reversed, closing back above 300. This looks amazing. I would love to see this put an inside day, and then I would be extremely bullish. As you can see, this pivot still has a lot of volume bars, all the volume bars above average. So still a lot of supply and shares being traded. I would love to see this flag continue to build out on the right side with volume drying up and then taking out a key level like 300 or 305. For that to happen though, Bitcoin does need to go sideways as well. If we do clear these highs and really go next week and open up 95,000 plus, Coinbase will be gapping up. So we'll see what happens there. Nvidia earnings in 5 days on November 20th. This is a tight in the market. We held the 21, we ended up holding the 21 EMA today, but we did come back into the space, just held it actually the left side peak. So nothing too much to worry about yet, and we got earnings. This could present another earnings gap where you can see triple digits earnings year over year, revenues as well. Gross margins, 75% is extraordinary. This Nvidia for a $3.5 trillion market cap, still doing triple digits for the last 5 quarters in earnings and revenue is unheard of. You can't really find a name with this much liquidity growing this quickly at 61% growth rate, 99% return on equity, which is just absurd. This is a textbook can slim name. And this continues to work. The market's really going nowhere. Tesla pulled back after a huge move, extended move to the 8 EMA, found support so far. Volume's starting to dry up. I want to continue to see this build sideways, maybe get the 21 EMA to pull to catch up. Maybe we pop back up like that, chop sideways, maybe get a shakeout in there, back to the 21 EMA, maybe hold 300, see volume dry up in the flag as well, and then that could present a nice entry. Now to the fintech group that also showed great relative strength today. We'll start off with Upstart. It gapped up on earnings, really mediocre earnings, but it's growing its revenues. Had a huge reversal, then it gapped down on offering, found support, gap days lows, and closed highs of the day today. So definitely some RS today. Volume was below average yesterday too. Affirm, after earnings ripped over the highs of the base into new 52-week highs, found support under a breakout retest and closed near the highs of the day. So definitely showing RS trading at 52-week highs. And you can see earnings, even though they're negative, are accelerating and revenues are pretty strong as well. SoFi, part of this too, continues to trend above the 8 EMA, closed highs of the day. These subtle signs are what we look for to gauge relative strength. Stocks closing highs of the day when markets are closing at the lows or being a distribution day. Stocks trading at or near 52-week highs. Stocks building higher lows while the markets break into lower lows. Stocks holding key moving averages while markets are breaking key moving averages. And this is fitting in that bill of relative strength. Toast, another one. Gapped up by earnings and just continues to float higher. Above all key moving averages in 52-week highs and actually closed at 52-week highs. Just as Rope would say, skyscrapers of blue bars, wall of blue accumulation in this recent action as well. And Toast just looks great. See acceleration line, the earnings acceleration line is at a 45-degree angle, triple digits in the last 2 quarters, and nice revenue growth as well. Last fintech stock, Square, also had really nice post-earnings action. Broke out above the base, pulled back in, finally support the 8 EMA. This is starting to look somewhat like the MSTR Solana setup because you run up the right side of the base, break out in the highs, but you see some supply because they're sellers, and now you build a handle / flag up here. Finally, I want to talk about stocks because if you look at the weekly chart, you got a left shoulder, head, you got a right shoulder, breaking down below all key moving averages now. RS line has been declining, 47 relative strength. And this looks like it's in stage 4, and you see there's a lot of distribution this week. That's not a good sign for semis, but if Nvidia reports well, it's just going to drag the whole sector up. But overall, the semi sector is extremely weak. Same with biotech. We broke out the new 52-week highs, reversed, and like we always talk about, from failed moves can often come fast moves. And in 4 days, it's literally below the 200-day moving average. RS line completely collapses. The weekly is an outside week reversal, complete sell signal if you aren't out already. And this is the largest weekly sell volume as far as you can see from the capitulatory volume in the lows of 22. So definitely not healthy in biotech here. All right, so those are some charts of interest from me. I'm going to now go over the 21 over 21 list. We'll go over the top 5 movers and then top 5 losers. Palantir extraordinary. They're moving their shares from the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ, and somehow that prompted an 11% up day. Just really amazing post-earnings gap move. They gapped above previous IPO highs, earnings line is accelerating, and just perfect post earnings gap action trending above the 8 EMA. This is another relative strength name to watch out for. Bitcoin, we don't need to talk about that. I've talked about it too much already. And with MSTR, Kava, even though reversed on earnings, we got out of it, then fall through. It undercut and reclaimed at 8 and 21. So this just needs to build a base. It's already made a huge run up, as you can see, from this breakout of like 36 all the way to 146. Earnings are accelerating heavily, but we just need a base now, and then it could be ready for a new time. CLS up 2.1%, undercut and reclaimed the 8 EMA, and continues to trend nicely after its earnings. Reported 6% year over year, 22% revenues, 10% gross margins, 12% surprise. LNG Connor talked about, so you can look at that. Toast I already reviewed. On the downside, SMR took a hit, but still closed right at the 8 EMA. Reddit took a 5% hit, closed just a little bit under the 8 EMA, but still above that previous breakout level, as you can see right here. So still acting healthy, nothing wrong there. Team, still above the 8 EMA, even though it's down 4%. Nvidia still above the 21, below the 8, down 3.3. A-Lab, still holding gap days lows. So as you can see, the top 5 losers are still holding key levels. Nothing too ominous yet. Leaders are acting well. Indexes are a bit heavy because of mega caps. But overall, we've stopped out of a few names. Other names are acting well. Bitcoin's acting well. Fintech's acting well. So you still have leadership groups. And we'll see into next week really how we do on those Nvidia earnings. Economic calendar is quite light next week. And most of the earnings season is over too. So just looking forward to Nvidia now. So that will wrap it for this Friday video. As always, I would love to hear from you. My email is ted@revereasset.com. My Twitter is TedHZhang. Our phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. Our website is Revere Asset Management, and our YouTube channel is Revere Asset. We named our flagship portfolio GROTECTION for 2 reasons. It is our dual mandate to grow assets in uptrends and protect assets in downtrends. If you're interested in becoming a client, definitely reach out to any of us, ted@revereasset.com, Dan or Don at revereasset.com, and we'd love to help you out, talk to you, and take care of you. So with that being said, today is Friday, November 15th. This is Ted Zhang with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your weekend. Or have a great weekend.